Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 48 of the Showbound podcast. I'm your host, Michael Raskin, here alongside San Jose Sharks prospect and Barry Colt superstar, Ethan Cardwell. Cards, what's up?
Not too much, man. Just hanging out in my bedroom right now, just chilling, just getting ready. Had a good Thanksgiving with the family. Nice to go home for a little bit and just kind of preparing for the upcoming games this weekend.
How was your Thanksgiving, bro? Like, what did you get up to, see the family and all that?
Yeah, no, I went to my family friends hunt camp, so enjoyed a few days there. Not too much service, so kind of got away from everything, which was a lot of fun. And then other than that, had family back at home in Curtis, and we did our little Thanksgiving there too. So a lot of fun to just see all the familiar faces and family. It's always nice to go home to, for sure. How about you? What did you get up to?
Well, it's actually funny. I've been talking about this a lot this year, but now I've never had a Thanksgiving. I've never celebrated or whatever until this year. Um, and I just assumed no one celebrated Thanksgiving just because I never did growing up. I was just like, I don't know. So I thought everyone was like me. And it turns out I was the weird one who never had a Thanksgiving. My parents just like we never did it. But we had my first Thanksgiving this one this year. So it was fun. Got a bit of leftover turkey I've been eating here. It was just good to go back home and stuff like you said, and hang out with the parents and my brother and stuff. So it was fun, man. A lot of food. I had a good time. But yeah, let's talk about the beginning of the OHL season. Obviously, like tougher start for the Colts. 0-2 to start, but do you just want to touch on like what's going on? And you guys have a really good team, so I'm sure you'll bounce right back.
It's a little bit of a slow start, but we have such a good team and such a great group of guys here that I have no doubt in my mind we're going to bounce back this weekend. And like we talk about later on in the interview, everyone's got to get their feet wet. We're all coming from different places. We haven't played in a long time. Got to get used to each other. So I think it's a little bit of that early on in the year, just kind of situating everything, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, like I said, we got no worries in our locker room or anything like that. We're just looking forward to the challenge of kind of digging ourselves back up and moving up that leaderboard.
Oh yeah, and I think it's this Sunday or this weekend you play in Niagara at some point soon.
Next Thursday in Niagara, and you're gonna be there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm off at the day, but yeah, I will be there. Um, so I'll be there, and the whole Brock University hockey team is going to be there as well. Now we can drop our guest. It's Tyler Tullio, signed by the Edmonton Oilers, captain of the Oshawa Generals. Um, pretty good interview, and I'm excited to get that one to you guys. What else did I want to say? I had noted down. I know you were probably going to mention it as well, but Fet's friend of the show, Cole Perfetti, gonna make his NHL debut Wednesday when this podcast comes out. So exciting for that. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, bro, I was so excited, and like we always say, man, like good things actually happening. Like it's actually crazy how things are working like that, man. And like JT obviously off to a tear in the like Showbound alum and stuff. So
Yeah.
um
I love how we
but
call
man,
them alum too. That fires me up. Like Showbound
yeah.
alum.
And like Fetz called me today, and like I was like, it was a weird time. Like normally, like if he's calling me, like it's at night, we'll just like discuss like what's going on or something like that. And he called me midday because he wasn't sure. Like he was unsure if he might have been going to the AHL or whatnot. And he calls me and he goes, hey, how's it going? I go, not much. You like what's going on? He's like, yeah, I'm playing tomorrow in Anaheim. And then I was like so fired up for him. So he's really excited, and I know I'm looking forward to watching the game, and I'm sure everybody is. And I know he's in a good spot in the lineup too, where he can put up some numbers, hopefully.
Yeah, all our listeners are like Cole Perfetti fans, from what I understand. Like every time he's on, it's a monster episode, and everyone's like commenting on it and stuff. So I'm gonna watch it too. I think it's gonna be awesome. And I have what else? Yeah, I was gonna mention JT actually, Jack Thompson, lighting it up already. But there was one story I wanted to bring up because it was funny because I just went to get one of my suits dry cleaned because we got our first preseason game Thursday this week, and I have a quick funny story that I wanted to bring up. So it was back with my first year as the general manager of the Brock team here, which was 2017, 2018. And we went to the national championship that year. Like we were good. And I remember we played York in the game to like go, if we win, we like qualify for the national championship for sure. It was the semifinals. If we win, we play against McGill for the championship, but the top 2 teams automatically qualify. Anyway, so we beat York in that game to qualify, and it was like champagne party in the locker room and stuff. And my suit got all ruined. Like obviously, hugging sweaty guys and just getting champagne and beer poured on me and stuff. And we ended up going to the bar that night, like everyone in their soaked suits. Actually, it was pretty funny. But we played McGill 2 days later in the championship. And I have a thing, I did it in Barrie too, where like if I win in a suit, I keep it for the next game. A lot of people kind of like have a similar thing. And like I said, my suit was just ruined and drenched. And I took it to the dry cleaner and he said it was going to be 3 days, like one day after the championship. And I needed to wear that same suit. And I said to him, I was like, I'm the general manager of the Brock men's hockey team. Like this is my tradition. Like I wear the same suit or whatever. I need this done because we're playing against McGill in the finals. I have the game ticket here signed by Clint Windsor, who is a Syracuse Crunch contract guy, kind of nasty for the YouTube viewers. And he was like, oh, I went to Brock. Like I love the hockey team. I'll get it done by the end of the day. And he got it done for me. And you don't get that at like in U Sports, right? Like that's an OHL move. Like if you pulled that, like you'd work, but you don't get that stuff at this level. So it was like the coolest feeling. And I just wanted to tell that story. It's hilarious. And we lost to McGill, by the way.
Yeah. So your suit really didn't matter at the end of the day. And that's like, it's honestly like so cool. Like those type of things, like when you do tell somebody, and I noticed that like playing in not a small city, but like not a huge city, like people know you and like you get a haircut and like free haircuts at sports clubs. And it's always unbelievable there. It's just like the little things there that make you feel like a celebrity when in actuality you're just like an average, like regular person. But like, it's the little notoriety that makes you feel good about yourself,
Yeah. And that one was like, that one felt good for me. And that was 5 years ago or whatever. So it was, I was only like 17 or 18 or whatever. So it was cool. Which is like your age now, basically. I forgot how young you are.
Yeah. 19, but I'm 19. Come on.
Anyway, is there anything we want to talk about now? Actually, I want to talk about Squid Game, but we'll save it for the end.
Yeah, I think we could save that. But I mean, like the NHL starting is such a notable thing, and like it's huge that I don't think we can really overlook it here. So let's do our predictions for Stanley Cup winners and stuff like that. And we may have to get Dregs back on the pod to predict who will be in the Stanley Cup final again.
Yeah, you know what? We should actually reach out and maybe get him on. But I think we both have to stick with what we said in like January that Colorado's going to win this year.
Yeah, you would think so, man. Like I just don't see why they wouldn't. Like they're so deep and stuff. Maybe the Sharks though.
yeah. There you go.
I'm a little biased now at this point, but
they won't win without you on the team.
Yeah, I don't know if they need me out there, but X is definitely going to be a force. I know it's his birthday on the day we're recording today, Tuesday night. But so happy birthday to him, and another Showbound bump for the boys. Another guy who's going to be making his NHL debut, so super happy for him. And
did Ozzy make the team?
No, Ozzy's back in junior for now. So
okay. He's going to dominate the dub.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep eyes on his stats because there's no doubt he's going to light it up in that league. And you know what I'm excited for? I'm excited to watch the Sharks. Like I've never like really watched the Sharks a lot because like when in Canada, like, are you staying up till 10, like, and watching a West Coast team like that, honestly, and it's never on for us. So like, I'm excited now that I have like a relation with them. Like I'm a part of the organization. Like it's pretty cool to be able to watch the games now. So I'm looking forward to that this year.
Yeah. And when you're watching, you got to be critical too. Like you got to be paying more attention to look at their systems, look at who's doing what, look not at the puck, like what the guys away from the puck are doing. Like that's the stuff that you need to do now for the Sharks specifically. Stuff that like people wouldn't really think about just casually watching a game,
Yeah, like a lot of people wouldn't understand those things or like even clue in, but like you make a great point there. It's always like there's always such little things you can learn from. And if I could pick up anything from their players that are on the team now, it always just helps your chances of becoming a pro one day. So
yeah. And I guess so. Going back to the original question, is Colorado your prediction to win too?
Yeah, like I mean, how can you not? They just look so good.
I feel like I haven't heard anyone say Colorado other than us.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I think they'd be betting favorites just because their lineup. Like Also notable news, whoever doesn't know, like McKinnon's out for the first game at least. Like he tested positive for COVID today. I could cheer for Colorado a little bit, I guess, because one of my good buddies on Barrie now, Oscar Olsen, first round draft pick of the Colorado Avalanche. So
Yeah, you got a sick apple on his goal there too.
yeah, we did have a nice little connection on the goal. So we'll see what we can do moving forward on that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Uh, yeah, Colorado looks good. I mean, I want to say the Leafs, but it's bad luck if I say the Leafs. Like I said it last year. Like, but they
Yeah, I
look
don't know.
good, man. I don't think they're gonna win the cup, but I think they get out of the first round this year.
Yeah, but like, how do we overlook Tampa?
Oh, I know. Tampa's still sick.
You can't overlook Tampa, man. They're actually disgusting, and I think they're going to be a force, and we're going to see that tonight on Tuesday night in the home opener.
I think they're gonna have a slow start though, man. They've probably been partying for nonstop 2 years.
Yeah, JT told me they're looking good at camp though, so I'll be interested to see the performance here early. But I think like in this half of the show anyway, that's all I got for NHL anyway. I'm no Darren Dreger.
Yeah, you're on your way. I say let's send it over to Ty Tullio now.
All right, we're pleased to be joined on the pod here this week by Ty Tullio. Tullio, how's it going?
Good. I just want to say thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And you're just getting back from Edmonton camp, back in Oshawa now, recently named the C. So how are things going there?
I mean, things are taking this. Taking the nice strides right now. Obviously, it was a pretty fun couple weeks in Edmonton. Obviously, skating up there with. I mean, you got McDavid and Draisaitl up there, so it's a little bit of a treat to see those guys. But I mean, things are just moving in the right direction right now, and I just honestly hope to keep them going. Honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously you've gotten yourself off to a good start to the year in terms of being named captain, like I just mentioned, and then also signing a contract there at Edmonton camp. So can you kind of just tell us how that went down?
Yeah, I mean, so like we were a little bit in the talks. Obviously, a little bit before I went to the camp. They saw me at the World Junior Showcase in the summer, and they really liked how I was playing. And then it was kind of just back and forth from there on in. And then honestly, my agent just kind of gave me the call one day, and it was a little bit unexpected. And he's just like threw me the numbers, and honestly, there are numbers that like they opened my eyes and they sounded really good for myself. And we just thought it'd be best for myself, and we also thought it was a great fit for myself there too. Like they don't have like a very depth group over there, so I mean, for myself to get in there and then just get acclimated with a bunch of that kind of stuff, it was good. And then obviously coming back to Oshawa and then getting named captain with Millsy. It's a nice also another accomplishment for myself. But I mean, right now I'm at a pretty good high right now, and I just want to just keep things rolling, honestly.
Yeah, and then one question I wanted to ask, just going back to your OHL draft. So so your dad is part owner or full owner of the Oshawa Generals? Is it?
Yeah, he's basically full owner come to this point.
My question is, was there any doubt, and you ended up going first round to Oshawa in the OHL draft, but was there any doubt that maybe like some team could have pulled like a move and taken you, or was it like a sure thing?
So we had the 11th overall pick, Oshawa, and Windsor had the 10th. And at the time, Warren Reichel, who's basically our neighbor, he lives just across the canal from us in Windsor. We've known him for 15 plus years, however long. And he was kind of a little bit eager. I did a couple interviews with him and stuff like that. And the day of the draft, they called us and seeing what we were doing, blah, blah, blah. And so like I had a little bit of like a doubt in my mind. Obviously, I wouldn't have been mad with Windsor. Windsor was a good team at the time, and it's obviously your hometown, so you're not really going to be disappointed with that. But I mean, there's obviously that little bit of doubt because my dad, and I'm sure there would have been a little bit of a hate rivalry if I went there, but between the parents. But I mean, honestly, it ended up going through to Oshawa. They picked Foodie before me, and at that point, it was a little bit of a reliever just to finally get to Oshawa, because I know I've been around the team for, at that point, 13 years, and now to be one of the guys, it's honestly, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's hilarious actually about right.
Yeah.
I had no, like that's really funny. And then can you just tell us about your first year playing for the Generals, like how it went for you, the ups and downs, and obviously you guys ended up on a deep run there.
I mean, yeah, obviously we went on a pretty deep run. We went to the conference finals for our side. But honestly, my first year we had a lot of fun. And I thought it was honestly one of the greatest years of my hockey career. And then just moving past, I like everything. Like just the hockey was just another step. Like obviously Cards too. Like your first year walking into the league from junior to now into the OHL, it's so different. And then it honestly was an eye opener for myself. And I obviously had a very, very well year that year. And it honestly just gave me a lot of confidence in myself and showed what I could do. And we had a lot of fun throughout that year. I mean, we had a lot of good players. We had like Stanika on the team. We had guys who scored 40 plus goals all over the ice, and it was just they would score at ease. And just to see those guys, they would literally score 3 goals. Salonitra, I think that year had 9 hat tricks for us, and he just wouldn't. He wouldn't not score against teams, and it was just like it was honestly crazy. Like to see those guys. We had Salonitri, who had 49 goals, Sagan, who had 40 something, Newman, who had 40 something. We had who else? We had McLean, who had 30 goals that year.
You guys were actually deep.
We had a really deep team, and I mean, obviously, we lost to Ottawa in the conference finals, but I mean, like they were deep sick as well. Yeah,
I want to jump in. You mentioned Newman, and it just reminded me. Newman once told me this story, and maybe you can verify if it's true. But it was, I guess, he had come to the Generals around the trade deadline or whatever, and first weekend you guys had a 3-3, and maybe Rocco said something like, if you guys win all 3, because you guys, I don't know, whatever, he'll buy them all Gucci belts. And then so you guys ended up winning, and he went through with it. Can you tell us about that?
So we were on like a pretty hot streak actually going into that weekend. I'm not 100%. I think actually we played, it was Ottawa, London. So like in those 2 teams, like they had Bush on the team, they had Foodie like on London, and obviously with Ottawa, they had like unbelievable players there too. So like we had home and home against Ottawa, and we went 2-0 there. But before the weekend started, right before Christmas break, my dad was like, if you guys have like win these 3 games, like there'll be like a gift or something for Christmas. And there was like, we had a list. There was like 3 options. One was Gucci belts. One of them was Beats headphones. And I'm not sure what the other one was. But yes, we ended up winning the first 2, and then we go into so London comes to us, and we ended up winning 3-2 or 2-1. It was a greasy game, and like it was, and we all get off the ice. All the boys were like, so like we go to center ice, like raise our sticks. We had like bowlers on the team. He was like doing the belt around the waist and stuff, like right at Rock Sweet, because he was pumped to get a Gucci belt. All the boys were loving it, and it was honestly that was a fun 3 days. I'll tell you that for free.
That's unreal. Because Bowler's that type of guy. He'd be yipping everyone. But
yeah, he was going nuts. He was giving the crowd, firing him up, and then going the belt to Rock, and it was funny.
So I also I want to know too, because we had Akil on 2 weeks ago now, Rask, and Akil, we were talking about that series when you beat them. So, and you were there. Were you guys were you selling that year? Or were you going for it, or what was the deal?
It was a weird year. So going into that point, before the trade deadline, I mean, we had a really deep team. Obviously, we had Stanika, we had Kaiser, we had Brassard, who those 2 guys ended up getting traded to Niagara. But we somehow with the guys we acquired, we just honestly got better. We were looking to somewhat take a step back in a sense, but weren't fully selling. But I mean, when we took that step back, we ended up getting Morsey and then a bunch of picks. And then that the year after, it ended up working out with Tomasino too. But also with those picks we got from Niagara, we got Sagan, we got Salonitri, and we got Mattinen, who are, I mean, 3 or 2 40 goal scorers always, which you can't really complain about. And those guys, honestly, they filled those spots better than honestly we expected. And when we went into Niagara, we were we know it was going to be kind of like it was going to be a little bit of a shit show, like, because you got both guys coming from two guys from each team now on the opposite team. And obviously there's a little bit of money on the board for those guys because you want to win. So like when they have in their team, like they had J-Rob, Stanika, Akil, Maximovich, like they had just as deep as a team as we did. And then it was honestly a tight series. And then like after we won, like it was just like, wow, like nobody honestly expected us to win, like, because they had a bunch of first round talent on their team. And then for us to come out of that win with a younger team, it was crazy. And then obviously you had to face Otto in the next round, which is a little unpleasant.
Yeah, you're walking into an absolute beast of a team there. Yeah, that, like, because I remember around the league, everyone, like, we were all shocked. We were like, holy shit, like, they just beat Niagara. Like, that's insane, because everyone was like, Niagara's front runner, them in Ottawa. But, like, after that year, like, going into your draft year, like, we'll talk about draft year here a little bit. Like, going into it, did you kind of change anything off-season training-wise, or just kind of stick to the program, do what you had to do, and just, like, go into the season and be positive?
I mean, obviously, like, I came off my year, I was pretty confident with myself, and I thought I had a pretty good first year. And then obviously going into my second year, I obviously knew what I wanted to accomplish. Like I had a lot of goals in mind for myself going into the off season and things like that. But at the same time, like I didn't think of it as a year any different than any other. Obviously, like this has basically come to now, like in those years before, like it was basically a job to myself. It's a lifestyle. So like for myself, like you're doing it every day. Like there's nothing much you can really change. You're at the gym, you're on the ice every day, like your nutrition and all that kind of stuff. It's always going to stay the same kind of thing. And honestly, there wasn't really much of a change, but obviously you're going to push yourself harder, and it's always going to be in the back of your head. Like it's always going to fuel you a little bit in the off season. And then coming into the season, obviously I wanted to really show what kind of player I was, and obviously taking a little bit of a bigger role. And I mean, it kind of showed out well for myself. I mean, I thought I had a great 2 years, and obviously things went well with myself going to Edmonton. And honestly, I don't even look back at that. I just keep taking steps forward at this point.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like you had 66 points in 62 games with 27 goals, and it was a big year. Obviously, like that's a great year for a 17-year-old in the Ontario Hockey League by any stretch of imagination. So like you have to be confident going into the draft and everything. So like how did you feel that whole season? Were you like checking the rankings a little bit, or were you just kind of focused on your thing and like figured everything would take care of itself?
You obviously like check the rankings here and there. You want to see what's happening in that kind of sense. But obviously, like I'm not a guy who really puts too much on that kind of stuff. I kind of just keep an even keel throughout, honestly, 365 days. So I don't really change my mindset too much, whether I was on that draft list or I wasn't. I always like to change minds and turn heads, and that's kind of something I've done my first year, obviously, with my dad being the owner. Like people had a lot of doubt with myself and him being the owner there, and obviously I think I showed out well for those 2 years and showed everybody that honestly, where if he was there or not, I don't think those numbers would have changed anyway. So I mean, I didn't really put too much around that. I think honestly, I'm pretty level-headed with all that type of stuff, and I don't really get too far ahead or too far below myself.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's a good way to be. Positive attitude and kind of just like do it yourself, make the name on your own, and you've done a good job of that. So I'll flip it over to Rask because we want to know about the actual draft day itself.
Yeah, and even just before the draft, one that just popped into my head, because I was one of those people when I saw you get drafted to Oshawa, like I knew nothing about you. All I saw was like the owner's kid just got taken first round. And I remember at the end of the year, like seeing, okay, like he deserved it, like sick numbers out there. But did you get a lot growing up? Like, oh, like your dad's this, like you didn't earn it yourself. Like, did you get a lot of that stuff?
Oh, every game there would be. I don't think there'd be games I wouldn't. And honestly, to date, like even yesterday playing Ottawa, I still get it. Like there's not games where I don't get it. And honestly, like it's to the point where I like just look at guys and I just laugh. Like it's like to me,
Ask them where
it's
their
kind of
contract is.
yeah. Like I just laugh in guys' faces. Like that stuff doesn't bother me. I honestly like when they say it because it honestly makes them mad more than me. And like that type of stuff, like it's great, honestly.
I know my first chirp on Toolsy this year when we play, I'll just start giving it to him about rock.
And they'll just be laughing at you.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the draft, like 5th round to the Edmonton Oilers. Now, can you just tell us about the draft? Obviously, it was like a COVID draft. So tell us about the whole day and the moment you were picked.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously going into that day, you got through the first round, and then the second, it would have been, I don't know if it was the Thursday or Friday or something like that. But I mean, there was talks, like I had my agent there and a bunch of family. So like, it was obviously a good day just to be around a bunch of people and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there wasn't really much to start. I didn't really hear much. Obviously my agent was having his phone on and stuff. He was making calls and was hearing a lot of stuff. And I mean, there was places where I was told to go and there's places where I wasn't told to go. So I mean, it was kind of a roller coaster of emotions that day. Obviously, like you obviously, I don't even know what to put it, but just that day and in general, it's just, there's no words can describe the feeling, honestly. Like when you hear your name called, like you're going all over the map. You don't know what to do. You don't know whether to check your phone, hug your family. Like it's just a whole roller coaster of emotions, but honestly, just hearing my name called was honestly one of the biggest like reliefs I've ever had, because it's just showing like the hard work you've done in the past for yourself. And it's just, it's honestly, like I was saying, it's just a relief. And like, honestly, I still don't even have words for it. Like, I don't even have words to explain what that day felt like. And it was just, I don't even know. I'll just keep it as a roller coaster
that
for
sums
now.
it up, man. Yeah. You nailed it. Did you have a lot of contact with Edmonton? Like, did you have a feeling when they were picking, like, this could be me here?
Honestly, no. Like they were probably, I think there's 3 or 4 teams that I didn't talk to, and they were one of them.
Oh.
So it was kind of a weird, like interaction with them and myself. But at the same time, so before, like going back before my OHL career, so I had the opportunity to commit to Michigan, and the coach there was Brian Wiseman, who now is the assistant coach of Edmonton. And he played with my agent, who's Perfetti's agent as well, as Cam Stewart. So they kind of had a little bit of a connection, and they played together for a little bit of time. So honestly, it kind of worked out because they're really good friends, and it kind of helped my situation out a little bit. And obviously Brian's seen me throughout past years, and so he kind of knew what my game style was like, and they ended up pulling the trigger on me, and it honestly ended up working out nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obvious follow-up question, like there's no way you'd ever go NCAA, right? Like that's just like a smoke screen to make sure you get drafted where you wanted to.
I mean, a little bit, because at the same time, like you didn't know where I was going to go in that draft. Like I was saying, like Windsor, if like that kind of situation, or somebody earlier maybe would have taken me, like, and I didn't want to report there or something like that, then maybe there was just that second option to go over there. But I mean, it was just kind of like you were saying, a little bit of a smoke screen. But it wasn't much of talk, but there was definitely something there if I wanted to pull the trigger.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to protect yourself. Like nothing wrong with that. Did you have any funny like questions in interviews and stuff? Like we had a funny one last week. The Islanders asked some funny mind questions, like anything like that from the draft questions.
One of I mean, there's a bunch of like animal questions, like if you were an animal, like what would you pick and that kind of stuff. I think one of them was if you could choose a car, like what car would you choose? And I want to say I chose like I want to say like a Lamborghini or something like that. Or actually I think it was a Mercedes, just because like they're not like they're just like a car that everybody will go buy, like if like they have the money to afford it, blah blah. And like it's a nice car, but like it does the job, like it's efficient, blah blah. I was just making up stuff to see what they do, to give them what they want to hear. But honestly, I didn't even know what to say. Like some of those questions, like I'm sure Cardsy's got a couple of them too, but like they're just like weird questions. But I've heard in the past, like McShane, who's my roommate, I know he got like in one of his interviews, I won't say the team, but he got like ripped in his interview. Like they just showed video of him just like getting torn apart and stuff. So I mean, I think I got some of the easier interviews, but I know some guys have got tougher ones for sure.
Yeah, and Rask, I wanted to hop in here because the tools you just mentioned, and it kind of brought me to the point when he was talking about the car and stuff. And yeah, like I said, I won't name the team, but like JT, Jack Thompson, OHL Player of the Week, I might add a little Showbound off there. But so he had an interview where they asked him what kind of animal he wanted to be, and I think if I remember right, well, I'll have to ask him this week and clarify. But I'm pretty sure he said, "Yeah, I want to be a squirrel." Because they collect nuts and they're smart.
What?
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure he said he wanted to be a squirrel. So I know for sure he wasn't drafted by that team, but it all worked out because Tampa got a good one. I think guy has 8 points in 3 games.
That's for sure. Seriously, he's turning it up right now.
He could have said like squirrels because they sneak around and stuff. Like he's always doing that sneak drop down below beside the net type of play, you know?
Bro,
picking up. Yeah.
I guess the squirrel mentality is working though. So if you can put up numbers like that, you can be whatever.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, you know what? Say what you want in the interviews. Just say like, look how I play, man. Like, watch my video. Cards. What would be your answer to the car question? Like, if you could be a car, what would you be?
Like it would like I could say right now I'd be like, yeah, a Lambo or whatever.
No, like if I'm the Islanders right now. Like I asked you that question. What do you answer?
Yeah, it's a lot different. Like when I'm just like in there with like your answer would definitely change when like you have these big dogs staring you in the eye. Like,
you got 8 guys looking at you through the screen.
Yeah, they're scaring the crap out of you. So like I don't know right now, but like if I was in there, I'd probably panic and just say something stupid. But but speaking of cars, we'll move it over to planes. And you took a plane to Slovakia this year to play. And I know there's a bunch of talks about like guys going overseas, and like obviously I ended up pulling trigger on it. And JT and I were kind of like, we heard that Slovakia might have been an option on your team and stuff like that, and we weren't sure what was going on. But you end up going over there during the COVID season last year, and so just like, can you kind of just tell us how Slovakia went, like what it was like and like the lifestyle?
So that was something else. I'll say that for sure. That country, right when we got off the plane, we knew we were in one. Like so they don't even have like a main airport over there. Like you have to like go through Austria. So we first got there, we landed in Austria, and then we had to go across the border into Slovakia. And like the driver they set us up with only had, it was a van basically, but there was 4 of us, and it was probably a little SUV size, but we all had 2 luggages, hockey bags, sticks. So we had 4 hockey bags. There's 8 luggages, 4 like sticks everywhere, and we couldn't even fit. So Dave Jesus had to sit on my lap for the whole ride, and we had to go basically across the country because it was a 4-hour car ride. So he sat on my lap the whole way there. And it was hot as hell in the car, like no AC. You had to just roll windows down. You're going in and out of the mountains. And when we got there, like we looked on the map because like we didn't know where we were, like in relativity to like where Bratislava is, which was like 4 hours away, like on the other side of the country. And that's like, that would probably be like the nicest city there. But when we get there, like they basically showed us fake pictures, and they told us like a bunch of fake stuff for like the hockey team and all that just to get us over there. And so they were a last place team when we got in there, and they hadn't won a game in over a full year. So like 365 days, almost 2 seasons go by, they hadn't won a game. And so we get there, the first game we play Poprat, who they were first place. So we get there and we ended up losing 2-1. And like that, then they like were looking at us like we had like 4 eyes, because like these guys just like they helped, like they would get cleaned 11-0 games. Like this year they ended up getting relegated after we left. So like they were basically just a terrible hockey team. and they basically got us there for saying a bunch of fake things, like the hotel. Like they showed us like this whole different village that wasn't really there. Like they said there's like a whole city and all this kind of stuff. There was not, like, we were closer to Poland than we were to like the closest city in Slovakia. Like there was nothing around us, just surrounded by mountains, like nothing. And actually a funny story. So it wasn't even a hotel. It was a house, but it had 3 stories with like 4 or 5 rooms on each story. And so across the road, they had just like nobody. I don't think we saw anybody go there once, but it was just like a caged off area with, there was like alpacas, llamas, chickens. There was like these big, I don't know what the name is, but the big furry pigs just running around. Like nobody would like, there was nobody there the whole time, and they would just run around all day, and it'd be like -40 out, like just sitting out there. And it was like, what do we get ourselves into? Just seeing that across the street every morning. It was crazy, honestly.
At least you didn't go alone, man.
No, I know. It was honestly really nice to go over there, obviously with 4 other Canadians, because not one person on our team spoke English. Like no coach, no player. So like it was really hard for us to like translate things. And when we got there the first game, the coach like told the GM, who spoke a little bit of English, he literally just said, just play Canadian hockey. He didn't care what we did, just go out there and play and help them get wins. Yeah. We ended up going, I think 8 or 7-12, and we helped him get a few wins, but over there was a shamble over time.
Yeah, and I remember seeing snaps too of your little apartment or whatever you were in. And so how many, like, weren't you guys sleeping on the floor and stuff in the living room?
So they said we'd all have our own separate rooms, but that somehow just fell through, and we ended up, so the room was honestly, I would say 14 by 10, like to fit 2 guys. So we had so me and Jesus stayed together, Porto and McShane stayed together, and then Robertson, he came a little later. He ended up getting his own room somehow. And then, but the beds were 2 single beds, and Dave, like, I mean, I fit in it just barely. And Dave's a 6'3", like he's lanky, and his legs hang off the bed. So like we ended up complaining to like the GM, like, we can't sleep in here. Like it's literally like the smallest room. There's no AC, no nothing. The kitchen's in our bedroom, and we literally. So like we ended up they brought us up like a mattress. So Dave was on the floor, and then I ended up putting the 2 single beds together to make a double. And Porto and McShane ended up doing the same thing, but it was just the housing was just terrible. Honestly though, I will say the food was pretty good over there. Like compared to everything else, the food was pretty good.
Yeah, so at least there was some positive too. And I'm looking at the stat line right now, 77 PIMs in 19 games. So as bad as it was, were you just like so mad about your living that you just go and take it out and take PIMs all game, or what was going on there?
Actually, so I was all-time 75th in all-time penalty minutes for that team in only 19 games with 77. But so I mean, I got in a fight over there, which I got a 17-minute, and then another 5 because I need the kid, and like I just took a run at him. We were done. So like it was like 8-1 at the time, and I just took a liberty late in the game. And so I ended up getting a 22-minute penalty for that. And like we had a bunch of just 10, like we would lose, like the only teams we beat was like the 2nd and 3rd last place teams. And other than that, we just get wiped like 8, 9-1, 10-1, 11-1. It just wasn't even fun. And it was just like, yeah, like basically you literally just take your anger out when you're down 8-1, and you just run around, try and get on the board somehow, whether it be in the box or whether it be on the score sheet. And I mean, I'll take it as an accomplishment for 75th overall with those PIMs.
Oh yeah, right in the history books over there in Slovakia. Yeah. That's wild, man. And I'm also curious, just like one more Slovakia question, because I mean, for example, Cardsy goes to Sweden. Like everyone kind of knows Sweden's a great hockey country. I didn't really know much about Slovakia hockey. Like, I don't know, why not go somewhere a little more known?
I mean, At the time, like there was the opportunity to go to Sweden, but it was for it wasn't for their top league, and in Slovakia it was their top league where we were able to play. And I mean, what they told us was what I was saying before. Like they said a bunch of stuff just to get us over there, and like I mean, honestly, it wasn't bad hockey. Like there was a couple ex NHL guys that played there that were from Europe. It wasn't honestly a bad league. Like it was probably like an East Coast Hockey League type play. Like it was just big guys that just like had no skill, but it was like hard, strong, like gritty hockey. But like I would definitely say the skill was definitely not there.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And how do you find yourself on the big ice? Do you like that?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun. Like it gives you more just space, more time with the puck. And like a guy like me, like, I mean, I'm not the fastest guy out there, but like I love when I have more ice to use because you're able to make more things happen and that kind of stuff. So I mean, it was nice. I honestly didn't really find it much of a difference unless like the games were 10-1 and you're just scrambling all over the ice. But most games were fine.
Yeah. And then just bringing it back to Edmonton, I'm just curious, when you signed, did you buy anything? Like, did you reward yourself? Like, what's the first big purchase you kind of made? I feel like you're a fashion guy. You get a bunch of clothes or something.
I'm not bad. Like I do like my fashion. So I'm yet to get paid yet. So I get paid next Friday.
Okay.
So I'm waiting to pull the trigger on something. But I mean, I'm pretty big with like cars, like jet skis, like those kind of stuff. Like so I'm trying to convince my dad to get myself like a new engine on my car just to make the thing a little louder. So he's looking into that. I have a Range right now.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get a little louder. But I mean, other than that, like I was actually gonna consider buying a Louis bag. But actually when I came back from Edmonton, like, cause I just turned 19. Well, not just, but in April I turned 19. So we ended up going to the casino here. And my first time ever, I hit a slot machine for a couple $100 and I ended up winning $2,400. So I ended up just spending that on a Louis bag. So I didn't have to dip into the signing bonus quite yet.
Yeah, gambling's always better.
yeah. It's nice.
Actually, yeah. Hey, Tulsi, I was crying to your Instagram post the other day with your location, Pickering Casino.
Yeah.
I was loving that.
Oh yeah, we make quite a few visits there weekly. So I mean, we've had our fair share there.
Double your paycheck, why not? You're $470.
Make it $470. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So then, well, I guess we talked about it a little bit, but like this year in Oshawa, like how's the team looking? Obviously, the league's really young and stuff, and but like you guys have that Richie guy. He looks pretty sick. And other than that, like how's the team doing?
I mean, obviously we're off to a slow start right now, but I think that's kind of a lot of teams right now. Obviously, with a lot of young new players, they're kind of getting that touchy feel position as well. But I mean, I think we're taking the right strides as of right now. Obviously, it's just not showing for it. But I mean, we have a lot, like a decent amount of older guys who've been around the league. Like we have Morsey, we have Jesus, we have Harrison, myself, and then we have like McSorley, a couple of guys who played. Hiller now too. So I mean, like, yeah, we got like a bunch of guys who played a decent amount of games in the league and they know what it's about. But I mean, like you're saying, guys like this new Richie guy, is honestly like seeing myself as a 19-year-old to a guy who's 16 that just is able to do those things that I can do and even better. It's honestly, there's nothing that honestly like puts a smile on my face, especially to play on his line, because you can depend on a guy like that, especially at such a young age. But I mean, he's an exceptional player, and he's going to have a really good career this year, and hopefully to keep things going for the future.
And then individually, like, how are you feeling coming back from camp? Like, I know I kind of find myself in a little bit of a lull early, but like, I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like coming back, like you come from skating with McDavid and Draisaitl, and then you come back here and you're playing with guys who just came out of minor midgets. A little bit of a step back, but I mean, like, I don't even know like how to explain how the difference between that hockey to now with this type of hockey, it's crazy. But I mean, obviously a lot of players are going through it. At the same time, I think it's some point it's gonna help us in the long run. I mean, some of these guys don't know what it's like to play 68 game season. And so like that's I think gonna be a really big advantage on the guys who have played. So I think it's gonna work out in our favor. It's just kind of weird hockey right now, and it'll probably all even out pretty soon.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed around the league. It's more like a lot of ping pong, like not a ton of possession yet. I think everyone's got to settle in. Like even like all the older guys too. Like a lot of guys haven't even played in 570 days or something like that.
Seriously.
So there's a lot to be done. But Rask, I'll flip it over to you here.
All right, we'll take it into the personality questions now. So a good first one. How would your teammates describe you? Other than degenerate gambler.
I would definitely say I would say one of those for sure as of right now. But I definitely would say one of the just a guy, like honestly a guy that just keeps it chill, like funny. Like I like to mess around with the guys, especially like now being like a leader on the team. I like to just mess around with the rookies. I even mess around with the older guys. Like we like to play pranks, like with all the older guys in Ottawa. Last night we were messing around with a couple of guys' rooms and stuff like that. So I mean, I like to play a couple pranks on guys here and there and keep things loose. But I definitely give it those two.
All right. This one's a funny one. Think about this one carefully. If you were stranded on an island for a month with 3 other members of the Edmonton Oilers organization, who would you want them to be? It could be players, staff, anyone.
First, I'll have to go Cassian, just because Windsor boy. He's one of my buddies.
He can protect you too, man.
Yeah, he'll protect me from anything. He's not scared of anything out there, so I'll definitely give him with the number 1 spot. I'll have to give the number 2 spot to Clouder, because he's just. I mean, Cardsy, he's a goofball. He's funny as hell. And he's just he's a different character as well. So, and I love him. He's a good guy. So I'll definitely take him as number 2. Number 3, I think you just got to go with Connor. Like you can't not slip up on that opportunity.
All right, I like that answer. That's good. How do you eat a cupcake?
I take icing off all first. I go icing off all the way, and then I take the package off, and then I'll probably eat the top half and throw the bottom half away.
Okay. All right. I like that. Top half's where it's at. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. I think it'd be to fly. I think that'd be pretty cool. Just you go wherever you want, fly around the world, send up wherever you want and however long it takes. But I think that or just being invisible. Like, so you can just mess with people. They don't know what's coming. You just mess around with people, like just pull some pranks or do some shit to them. But I think one of those 2 for sure.
I love it. Now we're gonna go in. Rask introduced this a few weeks ago, and we've had some good clips and good content from this. So it's the hard-hitting questions segment. So we'll get into your feelings here at first. Do you believe in love at first sight?
No. For myself, no, but maybe some other people definitely, yeah. I mean, like I've heard people, like I know some guys like McShane, my roommate, he's still with his girlfriend from high school. Like they've been together for 7 years now. So I mean, that's love at first sight for them too, definitely. Like they're living together now in Sweden and whatever. But for myself, it's yet to come.
Yeah, well, one day down the road for you, Jules.
Hopefully.
What is your biggest regret, if you have one?
Honestly, I've been asked this a lot, and I honestly don't think I have any regrets. I'm not gonna lie. Like I just live with what I choose, and whatever happens, whether the outcome.
Yeah. Maybe just your apartment in Slovakia. Maybe that's one.
Yeah, seriously.
And then last one. If you had 3 wishes, anything you want, other than other wishes, what would you wish for?
Definitely some money, a big bag. um, oof. Oh, oof, that's tough actually. Honestly, I have no.
We
I
need an
got
answer.
no.
You're gonna give
Yeah.
us an answer.
I'm gonna give you an answer. This may take a little bit here though. Oh. Mm. I'm gonna go to win a Stanley Cup. Like obviously, I'm gonna want to win a Stanley Cup one day. A big bag too, and I want to meet Drake pretty bad too. Drake would be a sick one to do. So I think definitely those three I'll go with for now.
All right. I love it. We'll take it into some fan questions. First one, a couple of people want to know what stick do you use and what specs on it?
I used the Bauer Nexus, the Geo. I used the P28 curve. It's a pretty big curve. And then other than that, there's no other specs. Just
is that the one with the weird shaft?
Yeah, but I didn't get the weird shaft. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
I used that in Sweden. It was brutal.
Yeah, I don't like it. I told him to swap it
out. What's your favorite show?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big Netflix guy. I just nothing like I just finished Squid Games and didn't really go over well with me.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it.
All right. Who's the best chirper you've played with?
I'd have to give it to probably either Matt Broussard, who we ended up trading to Niagara. He had some good one-liners. He would throw.
I think that was Akil's answer too.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, I've yet to play with him, but what I've heard is Brad Malone, who plays for the captain of Bakersfield now. I mean, I've heard it all over that he's got some good one-liners, and just even from playing in the inter squad games, like he'll throw chirps right at you, and they'll give you a little smirk for sure.
Okay. This one is one that I also wanted to ask because you grew up around the Generals and stuff. So do you have like a favorite hockey memory at any point in your life? Even like not playing, but just like something you've seen? I
mean, I definitely have to say the Mem Cup. Obviously not winning it for myself, but just being around it. Like I don't think that year, I think I was in grade 7. I don't think I went to school once that year. Like I would be at the rink every single day, just like whether it be practice, workouts, like games. Like that year it was honestly crazy for myself and like my family, because obviously my dad's been pushing really hard to win a championship for this team, and he's put a lot into it. And obviously to be there with him and like to spend that moment, it was really good accomplishment for himself and the team, and it was a really good reflection for my family as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sick memory.
Yeah.
You're a prankster. You like being around pranks. What's the best prank you've ever seen?
I don't know if I could say it on the podcast.
That's how you know it was good.
Yeah, but I mean, like we like to do, like there's a lot of tornadoes that go around throughout the hotels when we get to an overnight game. But yeah, there's definitely a bunch that I will keep off the pod for now.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's gotten me into a little bit of trouble, so we'll stay off that.
Yeah, we'll revisit that after in 20 years, and we'll get some good stuff.
Yeah.
Favorite off ice activity?
I'd honestly say ATVing or like wake surfing. I'm pretty big. Like I love like just speed. Like I love ATVs, dirt bikes, jet skis, boats, like anything with a motor I love.
And actually, that reminds me, do you want to talk about like what happened to you on the jet ski though?
Yeah, so I'll try and send. I have the picture. Like I'll show you it. Like that's the scar. I still got it.
Oh man.
Yeah. So when I was
Everyone, quick plug. Everyone, check out the YouTube if you want to see the scar. Show it one more time for the YouTube viewers. Show them some love. Wow.
Holy.
Yeah. So when I was 14, I'll send you over the picture too. It's pretty gnarly, but when I was 14, so like it was me, two of like my buddies that I played junior hockey with. We were just like out on the jet skis one day and we are going to there's a restaurant on the water where so like we are going to like dock our boats and get gas. And my sister and her friend were like trailing behind us like a couple hundred yards back on theirs. And it was like honestly, it was a calm day, like didn't think anything of it. And we were just going and out of nowhere, like we were full trigger. So like our jet skis, like they're not slow. Like we were 70 miles an hour, which was full throttle on the thing. So like we just were going and then all of a sudden like there was like a patch of waves that just like came out of nowhere and like they were pretty big. And the first one I went over, like we got some pretty good air and I let off the trigger like for the gas. And when you let off the trigger, you kind of like stall for a bit and like you go forward and like when you hit the water, but like for us, we hit it sideways. So like we all flew off the jet ski. So I went over the jet ski and my two buddies fell behind me and the jet ski just kept going because we were going so fast. It probably drifted 30, 40 yards in front of us. And so like we all like get off, we're all laughing and like we're all in the water. And I look behind me over my left shoulder to like look at the guys to see like if they're all right. And we're all just laughing. And I look over and I just see a big pool of blood like surrounding me. Oh. And like the life jacket's like kind of like a tank top kind of. So like in the picture I can send you, you can see the tendon. And I just seen all white and like I just screamed and I started screaming at that point. And my two buddies, they were a year older than me at the time. The one had to pick me up because like I couldn't swim like with one arm. And so like he like picked me up and like tried to swim. And my sister and her friend were on the other jet ski and they thought we were joking around. Like, and they were going to keep driving past us, but like they saw us waving to them. Like they're like, we heard you. Like it honestly like looked like it was a joke, but they just wanted to check it out. And they came over there and my sister had her shirt on and she like saw it and they jumped in the water, grabbed me, put me on the back of the jet ski and she tied her shirt around my arm. Just like whatever. And she was only like 17 at the time. And like, she's freaking out. Like she's fully covered in blood, like all over. And so we're like hauling ass back to the place. And we finally get there and it's like a nice, like little like patio outside. And we just come flying and everybody hears me screaming on a Sunday afternoon, like blood all over my sister. So they ended up calling the ambulance. And whatever. And they said like, everything's going to be fine. It's just like a tear in the skin, blah, blah. And I'm getting so they ended up taking me to the hospital and my dad's in the back of the truck with me. And he goes, why aren't they turning on the sirens? And they go, we only turn the sirens on for life or life or limb. So like, if you're not like a limb or if it's not life or death, they don't turn the sirens on, which is something like I didn't know at the time. And then, so we finally get to the hospital and then the guy across from me, actually, he had like a face mask and a full suit and was handcuffed to the bed because he was spitting on all the nurses and he was like peeing all over the floor and stuff and like pooing himself too. And this guy was just swearing, yelling, like, and I'm across from him screaming screaming at the top of my lungs because so when I had to get the stitches, they lifted up the flap of skin and nailed shots all inside my arm. And I think it was like 4 or 5 shots. And that was the most pain I've ever been in. I ended up getting 35 stitches. And then like a couple of days later, like the OPP came to my house, whatever. And they actually tried to charge my dad like criminally because I was so young and I didn't have my license. But like I was riding jet skis 2 years before that. And so like I knew how to drive them. It was just like a freak accident. But like everything ended up being okay and like whatever. And now I just got the wicked scar and a nice story to tell.
Oh, that's disgusting, honestly.
Yeah, bro. I saw the picture actually. You're asking, but you got to make a clip out of it.
I'll throw it up on the YouTube too, just to reward our YouTube viewers.
Yeah, I'll send it to Cardsy.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, getting getting back onto a better topic, I guess we could talk favorite pregame pump up song.
Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill for sure.
Yeah, that's always a good one to go to.
Yeah.
And then lastly here, before we wrap things up, do you have any game day rituals?
Not really, no. I kind of just keep things cool. I kind of, if things aren't there, then just forget about it. But no, I wouldn't say I don't really have any rituals. I kind of just, I mean, I keep doing that. I do the same stuff, but I wouldn't say if something wasn't there, it's going to bother me or be in my head or anything like that. So
good to know. But yeah, I think from us, like Rask.
Yeah, just for the listeners, because I told Toolsy before we got on, but when we first started this, he was one of our first followers, and it's good to finally get you on and meet you, and someone who supported us from the beginning, Card. So yeah, for me, like, it's been awesome and it's been a fun one. So I appreciate you taking the time.
yeah, no, I just want to say thanks for having me as well. So
Yeah,
it was a fun podcast.
Yeah, and from me as well. Yeah, just super happy. I'm glad we eventually kind of sorted things out and got this one finished up. But
it was good.
Yeah, so just obviously congrats on the contract. That's huge. On the C, obviously, as well. And good luck this year, but don't finish ahead of Barry. That's the key thing.
We'll see. Maybe we need to get you in a red and white jersey pretty soon.
Yeah, I want to thank Tools for that. That was a good one, and it's cool because, like, I've always known, like, I've seen him play a bunch of times in Oshawa and stuff, and I remember we were trying to recruit one of the kids there on Oshawa, one of the overagers at one point. So I was actually at a bunch of those playoff games we talked about against Niagara. And I remember seeing Tullio light it up, and to have him on the podcast now, guy I watched a couple of times, like, pretty cool. He's a very nice guy. So yeah, shout out to us for coming on.
Yeah, it's nice little compliments from Rask there. But yeah, like you said, and like we mentioned, Tool's been a fan of the pod for a while too. And I know me and him have been discussing it for a while to get him on here. So it's good to get him on and get his episode out there finally.
And before we get into Squid Game, I have to say that the Buffalo Bills are an absolute wagon, bro. Another win over the Kansas City Chiefs, who's also nasty. So my Bills are buzzing. And I actually watched the game. I watched another game too. I watched the Chargers-Browns game. Did you see that at all?
Yeah, unbelievable football game.
It was the sickest game I've ever seen. It was like 41 points scored in the fourth quarter or something. It was like just so crazy at the end there. And there was like the one guy missed 2 field goals. Like what a loser.
Oh, you want to talk about missing field goals, bro? So your team, here's a Green Bay update for everyone. So they won 25-22 in overtime. But from the 2-minute and 18-second mark in the fourth quarter to like this overtime, and overtime is only 10 minutes, mind you, there was 5 missed field goals between the both of the teams. They kept like going down, and it was like, okay, the team's going to win it right here. Green Bay's going to win it. Nope, missed field goal. And then we're like, oh, since he's going to win it, nope, missed field goal, missed field goal, missed field goal, missed field goal. It was crazy.
Well, actually, I meant to clarify like that, not field goal, like 2-point after touchdown kicks were missed in that other game. Like they were just brutal misses from that close.
Oh yeah, the extra points.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were you saying?
Yeah, no, I was just saying they just kept missing, and then ultimately, like, Green Bay kind of came out with the win there. So a lot of missed field goals, a lot of bad stuff going on, but your other team came out with the win too. So you had Green Bay and Bills, and obviously the Cowboys won, as they should.
I watched some of that game too. I've been buzzing on the NFL this week. I sent you a snap cheering for the Cowboys.
No, you were cheering for the Giants, bud, and they got wiped, as they should. The Cowboys look dominant once again, so let's just keep that wave rolling. And I mean, that's pretty much it from the NFL standpoint. Nothing really crazy going on, but that we need to report on anyway. But let's get into Squid Game a bit. I know we're both on episode 4 or 5 anyway, and
yeah, so we won't be spoiling it for anybody because we're not even done ourselves. But it was it's one of those shows that, I mean, I guess I could say I like it now, but it's, you know, I don't like it or dislike it. It's just really captivating and like you want to see it. It's is that fair to say?
Yeah, like I don't necessarily like, I wouldn't be like, yeah, no, I like this show, but it's like one that like every episode you're on a cliffhanger and it's like, hey, like I have to watch the next episode or I'm gonna like I don't know. I just gonna miss out.
You know where I'm at right now? The biggest cliffhanger is the one where they're doing the tug of war, and that's where it ends, man. Like on that scene. I haven't watched the next episode yet.
It's crazy. I'm a little bit ahead of you then, and you're in for a little bit of a treat. And I know a bunch of people have finished it, so I don't know. Maybe we'll be done by next week and be able to report on it all. But I don't know.
The listeners should watch it so we can talk about it next week. I feel like it's been out long enough that people have known about it long enough that most people are probably done. Like we're the slow ones, I think, at this point.
Yeah, 100% we are.
Yeah, so we'll try to get it done, and we will talk about the rest. But yeah, man, it just the first episode went from 0 to 100 so fast because I just wasn't expecting everyone to just get shot up. Like I just wasn't ready for it. I don't know. No one told me like what it was about, right?
Yeah.
So I just didn't know. But yeah, that one, and then you're on the edge of your seat the whole rest of the show. Like it was honestly, it's pretty good. So that's what's up in the Squid Game world. It reminded me because you used to have your little the Snapchat story with you had a squid on your name card.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I can never think about squid again or whatever. Like I don't know. I guess we could send it to you with the outro here. That's kind of all we got. All right, I might have to just take this one. Cardsy's internet is in shambles right now, and he is currently no longer in the call. So I think I'll just try to do his part as best as I can. And, it's going to be a nice week weather-wise. He seems to say that every week for some reason. So, enjoy the last little bits of warm weather. Go out to a Colts game, support the boys. Go out to a Brock Badgers game too. Why not? We're loud fans now. So everybody have a good week. We love you for listening to the podcast, and we're looking forward to another one next week.